Hi folks, welcome back to Geeks. I'm your host Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode we're going to be reviewing Ravaged Earth by Reality Blur's Games. Now this is a setting of high-powered pulp. This is very definitely a pulp era game. Set in the late 20s and early 30s and also at the dawn of the Second World War, you play pulp adventurers in a world that has been fundamentally changed by the Martian Invasion as informed by H.G. Wells in 1898. From this, when they came into Earth, kicked our butts and ruled for approximately a week before a virus brought them down. But as with all invaders who rapidly die off, they left us their stuff. And with their stuff came the special Martian metal called Aetherium that has given us superior super technology, has gotten into some people and altered them with the ability to have psionics, to have mysticism, and the ability to invent using this level of advanced technology that really blurs the line into low-end magic. This could be considered a supers game with the spider, the shadow, that level of superpowers, less mutants and masterminds level, and much more at the mystery men level of power. This being a Reality Blur's product, you can count on it having an absolutely banging adventure generation system at the back, such that if you come into a night and you're short on ideas or your players took a severe left turn and you need to figure out what to do with the wreckages of your once beautiful and precious campaign, yeah, that happens to me a lot, you can roll a few dice and get a 1 or 2 shot adventure from this that fits within the setting and for the characters, but still gives you time to breathe. Additionally, it gives you a large number of organizations that you have to deal with, both you work for, against, or at least alongside of, however grudgingly. A very nice set of, I hesitate to call it a bestiary because it's mostly humans, but opposition, and in some cases critters to fight, as well as a plot point campaign contained in the back to get you from point A to point B and exploring the world as it is. You've seen some of this before in terms of how the powers work, so it's very backwards compatible with other Reality Blur's products, such as Agents of Oblivion and Realms of Cthulhu, if you absolutely have to introduce the idea of sanity into this game. While I'm not absolutely nuts about the, get it, nuts, Cthulhu, I'm not exactly nuts about the concept of bringing reality-shattering horror in with your Martian tripod, I suppose it does give you some interesting ideas. If that spurs your ideas to make a cool game, then go right ahead. The adversaries in this are very typical of the era. You have magicians, you have the Thuggees, you have the Thule Society, the Vril Society, if you want to bring in some Atlantean concepts to the game, Knights Templar, Priory of Sion. So there's a lot of options for you to choose from here. I think the cover of this book describes it very well, where you've got someone on a rocket pack fighting Martian tripods in an Aztec jungle with someone else running across a rope bridge and punching out a Nazi. Short of feeding Nazis to dinosaurs, which I'm sure you can do in this game as well, I'm fully confident of that fact, there's absolutely nothing that describes what goes on in this setting better. This is an alternate reality setting, so you have rocket teams, you have dirigible forces. Another nice thing it gives you is pulp speak, for those of you who really like to introduce your own lingo to a role-playing game, where you can introduce new phrases, such as being bent is being drunk, or to kick off is to die. If you listen to a lot of radio classics like I do, you pick up some of the patois from that, from the mystery, from the suspense, and from the investigative sorts of stories that you can listen to. I like that it also gives you archetypes that you can just pick up and play. For example, you could play a rocket ranger, or a super scientist, or if you really wanted to, a hobo. Why not? It gives you options, it gives you ideas for how to do that. Go for it. I think that could be an interesting character to throw in, especially if you have a lot of contacts or streetwise of the open road. I'm very excited about Ravaged Earth. For some reason, Savage Worlds gets a lot of press about being a pulp-only game. And let me tell you, if you're talking about the traditional pulps, the serial stories, your Indiana Jones, Rocketeer, The Mummy, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, there's actually not a lot of pulp out there for Savage Worlds. Maybe because they think you can design it yourself, or maybe because it's just, in terms of large settings, it's an area that hasn't been overly explored. Ravaged Earth does that well, as long as you understand that this is an alternate history where the Martians invaded and then we got their stuff. Gives you a lot of options, a good plot point campaign, and is overall a very interesting idea to bring into your games. You can also mine the crap out of this if you want to. I have, and I've pulled out the idea of the Martian invasion, and I've thrown that into Agents of Oblivion, where the super tech, the spy tech, the single-use devices, all of that comes from the Aetherium and from the Martian invasion. Part of the reason I did this, and this is going to be one of my traditional asides that people tune out more often than not, is in the late 80s there was a War of the Worlds TV series that was introduced about the same time as the Friday the 13th TV series. And it was sort of known for being intentionally overly grotesque and pushing the bounds of what you could see on TV at the time. Don't know that if it was on a particular network or if it was syndicated. Where I grew up, it was on TV 45, which had a lot of the unusual series at the time. I love that War of the Worlds idea because the Martian invasion was real. It happened in the United States, and it kind of derived more from the George Powell invasion than it did from the traditional book, the famous radio play, or other sources, where the tripods were sort of rounded looking, and I don't know that they had legs as much as they hovered, and the heat ray had that. I loved that series. It was actually very formative for me as a burgeoning gamer at the time, and what I call my second generation of gaming, where I started thinking about things in terms of other than the Caves of Chaos. Then the fact that the Martians could like invade your body, dissolve into it, and they would walk around in your corpse until it started to rot and fall away. See my earlier comment about pushing the boundaries of television. What does this have to do with Ravaged Earth? Folks, if you like the Martian invasion, if you like that fiction, you can apply that to any modern Savage World setting from here. The red moss that they were spreading around everywhere. Pull it out of here, throw it into your game. It's there for you. As it is, this is a fantastic pulp era game with the alternate history of the Martian invasion, a plot point campaign, a great adventure generator, and all sorts of ideas if you want to punch Nazis and throw them into Martian death rays. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.